Hey there, my stampin' friends. Susan here with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. So I'm going to play with another Freshly Made Sketches challenge. This one is number 612. And I'm going to take you from start to finish of how I take a sketch that doesn't give you measurements and then break it down and then create my card. So a lot of this I usually do pre-video, but I'm going to go kind of step by step with you from start to finish today because I've had a few people ask me, how do you take a bare sketch and figure out the measurements and then create your card? So I'm going to take you through my whole thought process. So bear with me today. We might be a little bit longer than usual, but it won't be too long. Okay, so typical cards here in the US are 8.5 by 5.5 when folded. So for this card, our front is going to be 5.5 by 4.25. I've decided that for this one, I'm going to make it like a tent fold. So mine's going to be 11 by 4.25. Okay. And I'm going to score it at 5.5. So that's going to be my base. Then I look at this, and now you could take this two ways. You could just say this is a wide edge, or you could say, oh, there's a background set inside. If you want to do a background set inside, a good rule is to step it in either 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. I found people have better placement with 1/4 of an inch. So if you want to break yours down and put one inside, I would then say go 5.25 by 4 for an inside. Now I've decided I'm going to do a textured background, so I'm not going to do that today, but that's one way of thinking about it. Okay, then it looks to me that these two are the same size, so you just have to decide like how wide do you want yours. I think I'm going to go 2 inches wide, and then if I have a 5.5 inch card, it seems like maybe this is 3/4, maybe that's about 1/4, so 5.5 less 1 is 4.5. So we're going to start with 2 by 4.5 inch pieces, and I'm going to do 2 of them, and I'm going to do 2 different patterns. Then we have this piece here. I'm going to call this my sentiment. I'm going to let that be based on the size of my sentiment, but I'm going to have it come across, oh, let's say maybe 3.5 inches. Okay, that's a guesstimate. So 3.5 by, I don't know yet, maybe an inch would be about what I'm shooting for, but again, it's going to depend on my sentiment. I'm not going to make it too big for my sentiment. So there we go. There's the sketch. That's how I kind of break it down to start. Then you have to choose what you want to use in your supplies. I've decided to go ahead and use the Autumn DSP that's in the fall catalog. It's called All About Autumn. I've used it a few times, and today I'm using it with the copper clay color. So many new colors. The copper clay color, because I chose to use this foil, which is the copper clay, and I'm going to use the pumpkins because pumpkins are my favorites, right? Pumpkin Hill Stampers, got to use the pumpkins. Okay, so there's that. Those are my pieces. I'm going to use the Distressed 3D file folder to do my background, and I've done that ahead of time just because my table shakes when I use the Big Shot on it and doing videos. So here's my piece after I've embossed it. Okay, so that was my background. Then I also have to choose which sentiments I want to use. I'm going with the new one, So Sincere. So we're going to use that when we get to the sentiments. Okay, so here's my sketch. So my base was 11 by 4.25, scored at 5.5, and then I did the textured embossing on the front. Okay, so step 1 is done. Then I've got these 2 panels. So I decided to go 2 by 4.5. So I'm just going to come in with my trimmer, and I'll trim off 2 inches to start. Oh, keep it steady. Okay, 2 inches, and then I'm going to go 4.5. Now, you might decide to scale it down more. It's easier to take paper off than to put it back on. Think about that when you're guesstimating. So maybe if you're not quite sure, go with longer over shorter. And then this one, I'm going to do 2 inches by 4.5. Now, I kind of want all these different colors, so this piece is currently 3 inches, so I'm going to trim 1 inch total. Let's see, if I go 2 inches like this, okay, I'm going to get all of this to there, or I could trim a little off each side. I'm going to trim a little off each side. So let's go here. As long as my last ending piece ends at 2 inches, I'll be good with how I've decided to do it. So 2 inches there. So that's what's called cropping your paper. It's big with scrapbooking, right? You crop photos, you crop backgrounds. So you can do that with your DSP as well. Now I need 4.5 and I want lots of color. So let's see, if I put this in at 4.5, I'm going to get the greens and the blue and the white and the oranges and a little bit of that top pumpkin there, so I'll be happy with that. So I've cropped my paper down to get the image that I want to use. Okay, so there are my two panels that are the same size that are going on the front of my card. Okay, let's start playing with the way this is coming together. So this is what I've decided. I'm going to bring it in 1/4 inch roughly as a frame from the card, and then I'll step this down and in 1/2 inch. So see, I'm too long. So now I have to decide whether I don't want my overlap to be as big or if I want to trim my pieces shorter. I don't really want to trim my pieces shorter, so I'm just going to make my overlap a little bit tighter. So this is where I would say, it's your card, you decide what you want to do. You're just taking a sketch idea and making it your own. Alright, so if we do that, so then I've got to do my sentiment. So I've got a piece of Very Vanilla. I've been using Very Vanilla with these papers. I've got my So Sincere. Now the one I've picked is the Your Kindness is So Appreciated because it's kind of long, and this one's kind of a long one. So let's see. If I use my grid paper, and I can stamp my sentiment, I'll stamp it here so we can see it together. Usually I do it on the end by my ruler, but I know that's not easy to see. So this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 quarter block inches. So that's 2.5 inches. So 3.5 will be fine, and I'm about 1 inch tall. So I need 1 inch by 3.5, which is what I had guesstimated I would use on my sketch. So that's going to work out fine. So I'm just going to trim this 1 inch and then 3.5 inches. Now you could always stamp it first and then trim it down, like crop it down like I did with the DSP, but whichever way works for you. So now I'm just going to take this and stamp my sentiment on there like that. Okay, so I think we have our pieces. We can build our card. Alright, so again, remember, working off this sketch, and I wrote it down. So I'm just going to put this first piece down with liquid adhesive. When you do adhesive onto a textured background, you just want to press it so it really bonds with that textured surface. Okay, you want a good solid adhesion so it doesn't peel off. Okay, now this one I could do up on dimensionals if I wanted to. And see, this is really long, so I'm actually going to trim this down shorter now that I see it in place. Okay, like maybe right there. So do I want that side up or do I want this side up? I think I want the green at the bottom. So I'm going to do it this way, and I'm just going to put this one down too because I don't want to have one layer up and then have my sentiment be up too high. So, alright, so I'm just putting this stepped in from that first piece, lined up with it. Okay, and then like I said, I'm going to trim this down. Now you can do this back on your paper trimmer or you can just do it with your scissors. So whatever you feel better doing. So that's going to go there. And that one, I think, well, what do I think? Do I want it down or do I want it up? I think I want it up. So I got 2 little dimensionals left, so that's all I've got for this one. Okay, so I'm going to put this down right about there. Okay, and then you can go ahead and add embellishments as well. If I had some pretty thread, I might do some thread on there. You might want to do some gems or rhinestones. So I'll have to look around and see what I have here. Maybe I'll add that when I do my final photo. But for now, this is how I did my basic sketch. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this quick, kind of easy demonstration for you. I hope you'll try their sketches and go check out their blog and see what everyone else has created. Remember, you can leave me a comment here, and if you have any questions, leave the comment. I'll get back to you, or my email is listed below, so contact me for any of your Stampin' Up! Needs. I'm happy to help you. Alright guys, I hope you're enjoying your day, and I'll stamp again for you real soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.